Hello, fellow model railroaders. This is... Hang on a minute. G'day, trendsetters. Greg here from Fishplate Films. And I'm back. Yes, it's been that long I've forgotten how to do my own intros. Anyway, I know, I'm still working on the house. It's crazy, man. Crazy. Anyway, I'm still here, and I promise that I'll have Final Cut Pro by Christmas. I know I'm just such a tightwad, I can't spend $500 on a download. Give me a CD, Apple, please. But anyway, all you get's a download. And I can afford it. It's just the principal trendsetters. And I've been busy working on this. But anyway, we have about between 50 and 70 videos of my trip to Canada and the US coming up. So please be patient. I know it's been over a year now. Isn't that slack? God. Anyway, there's about at least 50 videos of the Canada and US coming up. But before that, Tsunami 2. A lot of you have been asking, when am I getting one? When am I going to try one? Blah, blah, blah. Well, here it is. It's a very quick review, initial quick review. This is installed in a Kato AC-4400. I have probably 30 of them, thereabouts, 20, 30 of them. All with the ones on the layout now. I've probably got about 15 on the layout with the original Tsunamis. So this is the first one with the Tsunami 2. So let's get into it very quickly, and we'll go through some of the quick features, and then we'll be coming back after Christmas, after I put the body shell on, and do a bit more running in, and we'll see how it goes. So let's have a look at it. Right, this is the PNP board, Tsunami 2 PNP. I don't know whether that stands for plug and play, but anyway, it fits in nicely on the Kato shell, the two screws here that go into your standard Kato board go into this one. It's got the slots, different size slots, so you can fit in Atlas, Kato, all that sort of thing. Same sort of deal, your 4 power pickups each corner, that's pretty standard. Now you've got your pickup for your headlight and your backup light the same. Also there is a common, remember on most decoders, apart from MTH, we are switching the negatives, so your positives are common. So you have a positive common on this end and another positive common on the other end. So you can use them separately, or you can run a loop wire between the two or whatever. So all your commons go to them, and then of course all your function outputs, your lighting function outputs, are your other 4 along here. Those 4 there. So they're your other switched negatives for your lights. Speaker wiring here, positive, negative. We'll get into speakers in the next part of this video, because I'll be putting 2 speakers in this locomotive, and about speaker ohms and polarity and all that sort of thing. Quick tease, speakers are not DC, there you go, they're actually AC. So the polarity really with one speaker means nothing at all. It's for when you hook up more than one. So it's a bit of a tease for you to watch the next video. Remember, speakers are AC. You want to try it? Put a multimeter on a speaker and see what happens in DC. Nothing. Okay, so it's a nice laid out board. The things are easy to get to, mounts correctly, all that sort of thing. No extra big capacitors hanging off all the old Atlas ones. So far so good, that's good. And also now with the Katos, remember the old Kato boards had the light LEDs popping out the end of your light bars. Well, of course this doesn't have that, and also doesn't have the holes for the Kato motor straps, so you have to solder wires on to the motor straps, cut them off. Make sure you cut them off if you're doing a Kato way below the circuit board here, because this is pretty close, so you don't want your motor wires touching anything underneath the Kato. You can put some tape underneath there, I guess, but I made sure mine were well and truly below the bottom of the decoder, so you won't have a problem with it shorting out. But if you're a bit worried, some Captain tape or some electrical tape underneath the board here, so your motor wires don't short out if your soldering is a bit dodgy. Right, so that's about for the installation. Very easy. Now, of course, with Katos, now I don't have the light board, so that means I have to, well, it's a blessing in disguise really. Now I have to do all my lighting better in the Katos and put LEDs in for ditch lights and blah, blah. But I won't be using SMD LEDs, as we all know. I don't have binocular vision, I have one eye, and using those SMD LEDs is too small for me. I just can't do it. So I'm cutting the light tubes and I'm gluing 3mm LEDs onto the light tubes for ditch lights. But anyway, that's on the next one. All right, so now one thing Soundtraxx have done, which is very good, and I'm very grateful they've done this, is for the setting up of this decoder. If you've watched my other CDs, buy the CDs, out now. No, actually, no CDs. If you have watched my other videos, programming Tsunami decoders for realistic operation, this new Tsunami 2 sets up exactly the same. So to set it up, you have to unlock all the CVs and put an address in, and then you can start doing adjustments. So the same thing, the first thing you do with this is make a long address. So of course all these decoders, their address is a number 3. So you call up locomotive number 3 and put a long address in, as in the locomotive number. Once you've done that, then you go to CV29 and put in normally a value of 50. There's a table in there. If you go back and watch my Programming Tsunami video, you will see the table. There's also a table in the Tsunami 2 manual, which I suggest you download and print out a copy of, because you'll need it. But basic setup, the same as the old Tsunami, so that's really good. Now, one thing on setting up. Once you've done the really basic setup, you can get it running, you can do some speed matching and all that sort of thing. All the sounds, and once we put this back on the track, I've turned it off the track here, there are quite a few random sounds that happen. And some of them are steam, some of them are diesel. To turn them off, you need to use an indexed CV. Now, basically what that means, it's CVs in another file where they basically run out of CV numbers. Well, these new decoders are that, special, they've got much stuff in them. So with the NCE system, and I think most of the others, you cannot read an indexed CV. The numbers are too high. You can't read a CV on the NCE system over 255. So the random sounds, and the one that really annoys me is the clickety-clack. And it's very nice, it goes on to that, and it's actually speed related, so you can adjust all that sort of thing, but it's just annoying. I find all the random sounds annoying, and I'll be probably selecting none of them, I don't think. There's a fireman Ed, and there's the sanding valve. Once we turn this back on, you'll hear the sounds, and you need to turn them off. To get in there, you need index CVs. So what you need to do is get Decoder Pro. Now, I know everyone's screaming, well, you should have got that. I'm probably the last model railroader on earth to get Decoder Pro, but I like using my cab to program my locomotives because I'm there. I can do it anywhere on the layout. If I want to change a speed setting or a volume, I can do it on the layout. Anyway, you will need trendsetters. You will need Decoder Pro to program the random sounds on a Tsunami 2. Also, with some of the other decoders, you need them too. WOW is the same. So yes, that's right. So I'm going to have to get Decoder Pro as well. Lucky it's free, trendsetters. Yeah, so there you go. So we'll put this back on the track, and we'll get some sounds on it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so another good feature is when you unlock the CVs, and you can go in to CV114, and you can set your motor control parameters in there, and also you can turn on the engine interlock feature. So what that does is stop the locomotive from starting up, the prime mover starting up when you power the track. So that's a good thing. So back on the track now, and we just press 5. Now you can redo all the mapping. If you want to keep your ditch lights at number 5, you can change the engine startup 20. You can remap all the functions to all over the place. So. Now, the second thing is it's really loud. This volume is set at 100 out of 255, and I think the default value is 190. So they're incredibly loud. So if you know me, I run my locomotives very quietly because in real life you don't hear a locomotive all over the world. You hear it basically just as it goes past. And if you have your prime mover, and I've said this before, if you have, there's a random sound there, that's the steam air compressor. With the electric compressor going as well. There we go. Compressor crazy here, trendsetters. So I can't turn that off with the clickety-clack. Just to get sidetracked, I've turned the volume down because I can't turn it off because the clickety-clack goes all the time. So once I get Decoder Pro, I can turn all these random sounds off. So that's that crazy sound you heard then. Yeah, so turn your volume down. Turn your prime mover right down. Once you turn your prime mover sound down, then all the other sounds will start popping up over the top of it. It's no point in having a locomotive that you can hear on the other end of the layout, especially if you've got 10. Shut up, I'm talking! Very rude. So you can't turn these off, the random sounds, without indexing the CV, without reading an indexed CV. It's quite easy when you get into it. We'll get that into the next one. But thankfully, Soundtraxx, thank you very much. You've kept all the programming for the motor and all that the same. So all the momentum, all the back EMF, all the CVs are the same. So you can get in, program this thing without Decoder Pro, and it will run, and you can speed match and all that. It's all just basically the sounds that you need the index CV for. Now also, another thing, I've got a little cheat sheet here that I'm reading. I guess the main feature of this new decoder, like the WOW TCS decoder, is their auto notching. So you can run it around the layout and it will notch up and down, you know, going up and down. It's all very trendy and cool. I won't be using that function because if you run locos in a consist, which we all do, only the ones with that decoder will notch up and down, the other ones won't. So you'll have locos doing different things on a train. I don't like that. It's not prototypical. It's interesting, it's cool, I guess. I've seen videos, you know, trains running and they're notching up and down. Basically what the decoder does is read the current that the motor draws. The more current the motor draws, it notches up, the less current it draws. It's a neat feature, takes a lot to set up. I won't be getting into it, so that's it. If you want to know about the DDE, Dynamic Digital Exhaust function, you'll have to watch another video because I won't be using it. It's very cool, but as I say, it won't match with other locos. So I guess the only time I would use it is if I had it on one random loco and I was working on the layout and the train's running round and round and, you know, you can see it going up and down. It's cool, but I don't like it. Okay? So we won't be discussing that. Once you've gone into CV114, you can set the engine interlock so it doesn't start when you power the track up. You can also set things like what the throttle does when you go into dynamic brakes. And there's a few other things in CV114. Now, speaking of dynamic brakes, another thing I don't like about this decoder, and this is just me personally, it has two lots of dynamic brakes. So normally when you press F4, you go into dynamics. When you press F4 again, you go into heavier dynamics. So you get a light dynamic and then it goes into heavy. Now that's all very nice, and it does sound really good. We'll give you a demo of that. The trouble is, the other locos in your consist, unless they're Tsunami 2s, when you press F4 again, that will turn their dynamic brakes off. Because normally with the old Tsunamis, F4 for on dynamics, F4 for off. So you're going to have this situation where you'll press F4, this will go into light dynamics, the other locomotives will go into their normal dynamics. Press F4 again, this will go into heavy dynamics, the other ones will go off. So then you'll have to press F4 again another 2 times. It's a little bit of mucking around, but anyway, that's just a bugbear, you know. It's not Tsunami's fault. I guess I don't know how else they could have done it. But maybe I can unmap that function. We'll get into that later. So anyway, as far as motor control, better than the first one. I know if I can get my Tsunamis to run pretty damn good, but this is even better. This is up there with TCS and lock sound and all that sort of thing. Out of the box, it was very jerky. This locomotive is probably 10 years old. It hasn't run at all. So I guess the magnets are a bit lazy and a few other things. So I had to sort of tune it up a bit for it to run smooth. Now it's run in, it's perfect. So we'll give it a go. So here's the standard horn. Much nicer, a bit more echo. Of course, you've got all the reverbs and all those functions as well as normal. Different compressors, 4 different compressors you can select. So what I've done, this is CV2, I think start voltage is 2, back EMF 212 is 150. Now normally with my other decoders, I had the back EMF set at about 100. The back EMF is a little bit less on these, for some reason, I don't know why. CV209, that's your friend as well. I've got that set at about 90. That gives you a smoother start. CV210 will give you a more delayed start under load. So I've got CV210 set at 50, I think. And there's also CV211, which is another extra smooth load, but I haven't had to worry about that because the Katos are that good. So here we go. Speed step 1. Now I can actually get that slower than that. Now another thing which I really like the old Tsunamis is their brake squeal. I really did like that, but I can't find the brake squeal setting on this yet, so hopefully it's still there. I did do an F11 or whatever it is brake application, and I've actually had to speed this up because if I try and consist it with my other ones, speed step 1 is too slow. I can't get the other ones to go as slow as this, so it'll actually go slower than that. One thing I do like about it is when you stop it, it doesn't sort of stop quickly like the old one. Like it just doesn't cut out like that. You watch. If we have it on even on speed step, say 3 here, and then when you shut it down, even with regardless of how much momentum you've got, it comes to a bit of a slow, just a tiny slow stop. The lock sound do that really nicely. I've always liked that about the lock sound. They just take that extra half a second or whatever to stop turning rather than boom. So that's a nice feature. I'm glad you've done that, Soundtraxx. Now the other thing is what they have done, which is annoying, but I'm going to have to drive around it, is one of the reasons why I use Tsunamis is their flexibility in driving and programming. And what I did like their feature is that you can adjust the notching. So how many speed steps, that's when the prime mover notches up. Now I have all my other ones set on 7. So every 7 speed steps you get a notch. So that's well, a 0, 7, 14, etc. It notches up every 7. This is every 7, comes factory every 7. You can adjust it. So if you have other decoders, you can have it every 5, every 10 or whatever. The trouble is what they've done with this one, and I don't know why they've done it. It must be to do with the different mapping or the DDE function, I don't know. But it's still every 7, but instead of starting at 0, it starts at 1. So instead of it notching up at 7, it'll notch up at 8. And then it's 7 from then on. So instead of being like speed step 7, 14, 21, 28, it's now 8, because they start at 1, and then 8, 15, 22, 29. So that's a bit annoying, because what will happen is on speed step, say 7, my other locomotives will notch up, and this one won't notch up until 8. I don't know why they've done that, but it's just a matter of, I guess, instead of going to 7, go to 8 quickly or whatever, and then they'll all notch up and then the same. So that's just a little bit of a bugbear for me. But of course, if you have other decoders, you can't match the notching anyway. That's one of the reasons why I don't use lock sound. As much as I love lock sound, they're great decoders. You won't hear me say a bad thing about them. But the inability to change their notching, and they notch up at really random. My old ones used to be 13 and then 21 or whatever. They don't. It's impossible to match them with anything else. So, to me, in a consist, all the locomotives should notch up the same. It's a little thing, anyway. So that's one little thing. I don't know why they've done that, but I can drive around that. So that's one thing. There we go. That's a steam lubricator working there. The longer you let it sit, the random sounds will come in. So I had a guy talking before. Anyway, I said to turn those random sounds off, you need Decoder Pro or a system that can read indexed CVs. But apart from that, yeah, very happy. The low speed's great. I like the stopping. The sounds are much clearer, louder. Now, one thing, you might be able to help me, you people in the United States. They come with, now this is a GE decoder for all GE locomotives. And of course it comes default with the GE7 FDL16, so your AC-4400s, your -9s, all that. That is, it's a different sound to the old Kato 7 FDL. So to get the same sound to match my old ones, I've had to go to the FDL 16, the older GEs. The 7 FDL is a bit more of a GEVO sound. Now it's not the same as a GEVO sound because I've programmed in the GEVO sound file and it's different again. So I don't know what's going on there, whether Kato used the wrong sound file for the other GEs or whether they've mapped a different one. I don't know. But the 7 FDL 16 is a different sound. I'd say it's probably better, but it's a different sound to the old 7 FDL 16 that they have in their original Tsunami. Maybe you can help me with that. I don't know. So anyway, but apart from that, the sounds are great. So let's stop talking, let's put it on a train, and I'll show you how it performs. Okay, now we'll go into light dynamic brakes now. This is the first press of F4. Now I've configured the throttle to go back to idle. Now that's another press of F4, that's in heavy dynamic brakes now. So it does sound quite good. And then another press of F4 goes back into light. And then another press turns your dynamic brakes off. Now another thing it has, trendsetters, is with the digital dynamic exhaust, it has a load function, so the more current that the motor is drawing, the louder it gets, slightly louder. So this is sort of working pretty hard now, so it's actually gone up a little bit in, not so much in volume, but more, well I guess it is volume, but more intense sort of sound. If you accelerate really quickly, you can hear it almost goes too loud, but you can adjust that as well. One thing I have noticed with this Kato with the body shell off, it doesn't push as well as it pulls. This is nearly stalling coming up here now, where if it was pulling this train before, it was no problem. So, and also this is with no body shell on, so we see what with the sound when I put my hands over. So you hear the difference in sound. So it's much cleaner and even louder when it's got a proper body shell over it. So what we'll do a start on the hill here for you. Now I'm still tuning this, so it's probably only had about an hour of running. So we've still got a few more adjustments to go, but the smooth starting is really nice, just with a few tweaks. So remember, every locomotive is different. You will have to do some adjustments to get it to run perfect, but it's really nice. And that's speed step 1. So that's just, now I need to put a little bit more back EMF in that, but what I like to have is so the loco almost stalls at speed step 1 when you're holding it. Like it just won't spin the wheels. So that's at speed step 3 now. Now I also haven't put in my speed curves yet. Now one thing I am a bit annoyed about is, that's at 5. One thing I am a little bit annoyed about is they've taken out the preset speed curves. Now you probably know, if you've watched my other videos, that I use a preset speed curve to give me more notches at the low speed, and then the notches spread out. They've taken that feature away, probably because of the DDE function. But thankfully they've given you a linear speed curve, which I guess most people use anyway. But also they've given you a loadable speed curve. So what it means now, I have to go through and put in the 28 speed steps to match my other locos. That's a bit of a pain, but I guess it's the price you pay. Now of course I use 128 speed steps, but you load them as 28 speed steps and then that converts it to 128. But I don't think you can complain about that, trendsetters. That's pretty much on the limit of traction. That's got 12 cars on it, up a 1.8% grade, with no body weight. That's pretty much at the limit. If I put another car on there, it wouldn't be able to push it up. So there you go. As you can see, it starts to go downhill now, so she rolls away a bit easier. I do like the new dynamic brake sound. That's very nice. A little bit nicer than the old ones. Once again, that's in low. Hit F4. Okay, so there we go, I've just discovered something. Under a certain speed step, it will not let you go into heavy dynamic brakes. I think, actually that's true, I think at speed step 8 or 10, you can only get light dynamic brakes, so there you go. Right, well there you go, very nice. As I say, that will go slower, tiny bit slower, but it will be too slow for my other locos now. So that's a quick wrap up of the new Tsunami 2 digital sound decoder. Now once again, I won't be doing the dynamic digital exhaust feature with the auto notching up and down because I won't be using it, but I will be putting the body back on this once I get all the lighting organised in it. And we'll run it in for a bit more, do a few more fine-tune adjustments, and we'll consist it up with some the original Tsunamis, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you. That video will probably be up, look, I'm going to say in the new year. I'm not going to promise anything. We've got other ones to do first, and a bit more running into this. Also, another thing, it seems to run cooler than the older Tsunamis, and so the volume's great, sounds are good. You'll need a Decoder Pro to turn off the auto sounds and to adjust the other sounds. And also, if you're going to use the DDE function, you will need Decoder Pro to read the indexed CVs. But to set it up, basically, get it on the layout, get it running, and get it speed matched. It's the same as the old Tsunami, so good on your Soundtraxx for that. Don't know why you've done that 7-notching different, starting it from 1 instead of 0. Anyway, that's a small thing. Very happy with it, and we'll be back with a re-review after Christmas, New Year. But we will see you before then. So, hooroo for now. Bye-bye.